This was the Dog Pound,
Oh, that sounds so sad.
the farewell show, the end of an era, a magnificent endeavor. Right now, this will be the final episode, number 109. The Dog Pound. Let's talk about the history a second. We started on May 4th of 2021. The original Dog Pound panelists were Bobbie Herron, Jennifer Briggs, Max Zanan, Dave O'Brien from Quantum 4, and Elise Kephart. That was the original Dog Pound crew. And we've had a number of people come in and out. Patrick O'Brien sat in with us for a while, but he never could quite get his technology right. Poor guy. So Patrick O'Brien was a host for a while, one of the Dog Pound posse. And then April 8th of 2022, we added April Simmons.
Yay.
Hey, and 109 episodes. Unbelievable. We have done so much. We've had some of the premier personalities as guests. The general manager show was one of my favorites. How about you, April? What did you see?
I actually, when we were talking about this, I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to go back through and look at some of the different, favorite episodes that I had and try to get my head wrapped around it. So one of my favorites was when we had the Bryans on. So we had Brian Kramer, Brian Pack, and Brian Benstock. So it was the Dog Pound and the Bryans. And I loved that one because the timing of that, there was so many different perspectives, and it was just as we were in the throes of a major pivot. And I
We
just
also had Brad Wise on that show, if you'll recall.
Yep.
Yep.
There was and who was the other? We had one, oh, Tony Wren. Tony Wren was the other
I knew
gentleman.
there
Yeah,
was somebody
Tony.
else I was forgetting that was in that one. But that was one of my favorite shows because there was a lot of different perspectives. And it was the point, I think it was that show that I finally realized that I needed to have a disclaimer on from where I sit, from my backyard, from my perspective, because it is massively different depending on where you're at in the country. And that show really massively highlighted that, in my opinion, just from all of the different topics of the day. But that was kind of a moment where that was all transitioning and kind of happening in everyone's faces, right?
Did you learn anything?
I have taken, there's not a single week I haven't written something down. There's not one week
I have.
I have not written something down and learned something that I immediately go back and Google or question or have an after conversation about with somebody. Every single week, somebody has taught me something. And especially the people here, Jim, yourself, Max, Jennifer, Bobbie, you guys have taught me so much. It is as much an educational platform as it is anything else because of that. It at least puts you on the right track to ask the right questions, which I think sometimes is the hardest part. I think when you're trying to learn something, one of the hardest things is knowing what question you should be asking. And I think the Dog Pound has helped a lot with that. So
Jennifer, where's your memories here?
So I think my favorite memories are definitely when we've had some what I would consider progressive dealers on, whether it's general managers or dealer principals on, because I think in those episodes, like I'll take what April was saying one step further, outside of just educational, we need to make that information actionable. And having those people over the last 2 years on the show with us to give those quick tips outside of, those of us who are on the show every single week, trying.
I think some of our best shows were the five of us.
Oh, I agree.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, we all but
I mean,
in order
we
for
went back and forth, and Max is the curmudgeon. He was always the dissenter,
yeah,
Yes,
when I'm talking about
episode
actionable
84,
items,
we
Max
realized
is
that
always-
Max was grounded in reality. That was one of my favorites. Episode 84, Max is grounded in reality.
Well,
Right.
sometimes I think whether curmudgeon, it's always good to take things with a grain of salt. But there are actionable items that Max poo-pooed on over the years that I think having the actual dealers and general managers on the show, outside of just those of us who train those types of tactics, it was great to have them to say, yeah, it does actually work in a real live dealership, Max.
This has been okay. Someone has what?
Notifications on. The ding, 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 ding is coming through over here.
I don't have it.
I don't have it.
Okay. But
I think
anyway,
it's just
Bobbie,
hard to message.
Bobbie, what do you remember about the show? This is the farewell edition of the Dawg Pound show. What do you remember?
Yeah. So I think it would be easy for me to say like a great show that we were on or great people we had on. But overall, we've had really great shows and really great people on. But for me, I mean, we almost lost you. So like, you know, it wasn't long after that you were like, we're going to do a show. And we're like, okay, we're in. And it really gave us every week together, which I have other best friends that I haven't got to have every week with, even a conversation every week with. And so to be able to have that, I think is a big part of it. It also is all these people that we've brought on that we've bonded with, who we know briefly or we've seen in conferences.
Association guys.
Yeah, I mean, I knew them before, but not like I'd walk up to them and be like, high five, like, or what are you doing?
Mike Stanton, the president of NADA, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, we've had incredible guests join our show, and not because we paid them to do so or because we did anything except we gave our opinions every week, and they either wanted to challenge those things or agree with them and get their message out too. And so we
had Jim Ganther on.
Yeah, and we love him, right? Like now I know who to call for that or who to point my clients to for that. But I would say for me, it's it was the time that we had together that we didn't think we were ever going to get to have in general. So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Max, did you believe we were going to get to 109 episodes?
I mean, listen, I want to start by saying that, it was a great honor just to be invited to be on the show number 1.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to expect. And I don't think any of us knew.
Well, I didn't like you.
That's
fine. I said no to him and you said you're going to love him.
I really didn't like him. I mean, my good friend Ken Rosenfield said, you got to take another look at Max. Max isn't as bad as you think.
That is not how it went down, Max. He called me and I was like, who? No. And he was like, no, he's great. He's a smart guy. We're going to love him.
I'm like fungus, I grow in people.
Max, Bobbie didn't like me in the beginning either. It's fine.
Right. Not even a little. I liked April a lot.
Still doesn't like
From the get. That's not true. I love you.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It was a phenomenal honor just to be invited, and then, I think, I had the best attendance out of everybody here.
I think you did.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
this is not even open for a discussion.
I would like to say that I think it's better than that because you're in another country all the time and you still
right.
Get more than
right.
I have the highest attendance.
I was going to say, I think Max has missed 3 shows and
the attendance structure over here. She's got a scorecard.
Exactly. And listen, for me, I think the benefit of the show was that we could say, maybe with the exception of April, right? But we could say things that dealers couldn't say for, political reasons or for whatever reasons.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the state dealer associations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could be, I think we were able to deliver a certain message because there is no agenda, right? We're not dealers, right? But our livelihood depends on success of dealers.
Max, do you recall when we started this show, and I know Bobbie's and Jennifer are going to recall, and maybe April, I used to boast about Jim Farley was a personal friend of mine. Mm-hmm. Do you remember I used to brag about that?
So there was like a transformation, right?
He used to like all of us.
Jim Farley helped me to get my Lincoln. I mean, he helped me to get a Lincoln during the scarcity of cars. I mean, I had his cell phone on speed dial. He invited me to Detroit and gave me a private tour of the research facility.
Did he block your number after the
But
show?
you know, when it came to the dealers, I had to make a choice. Was I on the dealer's side or was I on Jim Farley's side? And I lost his friendship forever because I criticized him. I criticized him hard on this show.
Yeah, but if you can't call your friends to the carpet, are they really your friends?
Not in our friendship. No.
Obviously. If you haven't learned anything in the last couple of years, know that this is a platform where you can say what you feel, you can have a difference of opinion, and still have the utmost respect and love for every single human.
Yep.
Well, you know, it's amazing because we have seen the industry go sideways. I mean, the manufacturers are going to the agency model, the direct sales to the consumers. They're trying to do built to order, all the things that dealers hate. The EVs, as Max can attest, EV has failed miserably. There is no market for it. There's no demand for it. The dealers don't want to sell it. Buyers don't want to buy it. No, the EVs. I talked to a Mercedes dealer this week, and the Mercedes dealer told me, he said, I can't sell these 150, 200,000 sons of bitches. They're rotting on my lot. I mean, I'm hearing that from all the EV people. And the Highline EVs are pulling their hair out.
I mean, I know that I have some dealers that are doing very successful with EVs in certain pockets of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Indianapolis for
Californicators.
Oh, California dealers, yes, of course. I was going to say,
Did you say Californicators or did you say California
I
dealers?
think it was California dealers is what I heard.
I don't think that's what he said. He's pineappling it out today because it's the last show.
Yeah, before the show, we never got to, give Jim a safe word. So that's a good thing from the show.
That is a good thing from the show. And it's industry wide as a fun little cute thing. I got asked this week at Women in Automotive when there was a lot of expressed actually sadness from people that were like, this is your guys' last show. What happened? And said, well, join us on Tuesday. We're going to talk about it. And they said, oh man, but now what's Jim going to do for a safe word later? And I said, we're still going to hold him accountable because we're still friends. It's the end of a show, not the end of an era.
That's right. That's right.
The end of an era. Max, take up on the end of an era.
So this is what I was saying, before we went live today, that this show kept me intellectually sharp, right? Because you couldn't just show up on a Tuesday and be like, well, screw it, I'm just gonna wing it. You had to know stuff and be convincing. Otherwise you would be discovered as fraud right away. And I'm not bragging, but I think we have discovered a few frauds on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
have we ever?
Thank you, Jim.
I don't remember them, but
right. Jim
they
and
weren't that memorable.
Well, mainly because I only have time to consume intelligent information.
Exactly.
But speaking of awesome intelligent information, one of my favorite episodes is when we had a good friend and fixed ops director that I've been working with for a number of years, Bill Demery, on, because I really just think he is the most brilliant fixed ops director I've worked with ever. I don't think enough people know who he is. So I that was one of my favorite episodes.
No, that was a great show, and he's a badass.
Talk about knowing your stuff. He knows his stuff.
I mean, look at Jim Ganther on the sidelines.
I love it. That's Mr. Frontier, Max. I mean, Jim Ganther might be one of those genuine people who does not have any fraud issues.
We got David Villa in the audience, and David's got his own show.
Yeah. I love David and his whole team and his show. We've been friends for so long that I love to see people in our industry that do similar things to any one of us who have their own shows, who have their own podcasts on here going, hey, we got you. We're here. We're watching. We're a part of this. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Yeah.
It's the end of the month. Everybody's busy. And Jim decided to end the last show on 109. Am I the only person who's going to be driven crazy forever about that? We could get an even number. You know it's making me insane.
It's not an even number.
No, it doesn't make sense. It's 109. It's our industry. It's the end of a month, so we must be starting something fresh next month.
Wasn't that a Beach Boys song? She's real fine, my 109. No, never mind.
I don't know, but it doesn't go together.
No.
Well, Jim, you would know if that was a Beach Boys
No,
song.
that was actually 409.
I was going to say, I thought it was 409, but with your background as a DJ, I started questioning myself. I'm like, wait a minute. Jim would know better than me.
Well, listen, guys, I want to make another point. For me, it was like two shows, right? There was a show before April and after April.
Oh,
right?
I thought you were going to say on the air and off the air.
That's what I thought too. Before we get on the air and after we get on the air.
Well, yeah. No, but like the show before April, I was really, really outnumbered, And
April sort of stood up for you. I mean, she really did.
Yeah, I will give April a virtual hug. Is that what that was? You were like,
I wrote notes down about the different shows, right? And this one says number 50. I am officially in the Dawg Pound, and Max got a friend. Smiley face.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what else. We created a lot of internet celebrities. I mean, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about people. I'm thinking about people that really weren't that well known, and we put them on our show, and all of a sudden they're everywhere, being interviewed by everybody. I mean, it's crazy how many internet, social media, car business celebrities this show has created.
It's such a great springboard. That's why, Jim. I mean, it's this show really, first of all, has a huge following. So before I came on the show, I didn't watch it live very often. Very rarely could I catch the live show because I'm at work, I'm busy, I'm in the dealerships. But I would spend my Tuesday nights and I'd go home and I'd watch it and then I would comment all through it. Like
I remember that.
I would comment. And so fast forward, that's part of the way where Jim was like, all right, let's have you on. And then I was on a couple of shows before it became a regular part. But it has been hugely impactful to me personally, but I also know that it's hugely impactful to a lot of other dealers who look to the show in the replays when they don't get to catch it live. So maybe they don't see their name flashed up on the board, but what they do is they go home and they watch it later, and now they know, who should I reach out to? Oh my gosh, I had no idea that there was a way to solve this problem, and now I know who I can call, what vendors to reach out to, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that the show goes well beyond the Tuesday 1 hour. And that is what has made it so impactful and such a great springboard for not only the people who've been on the show, but the people who have been able to get stuff from the show.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Stephen Stassi in the audience. What a great compliment. Thank you, Stephen. We've made a difference. We've had some young superstars on. I was talking to a good friend of mine today, Jake Leibowitz. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He is. I think he's got like 18 dealerships now. I mean, that young man is. I mean, he just showed me his new house. I mean, you could put my house in his basement. I mean, he is. I mean, he is absolutely killing it in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I mean, I think he is one of the new superstars of the business, and I was so proud to have Jake on the show.
Yeah, that brings me to another thought process I had. There was, one of my favorite shows actually ended up just being Jim and I, but it was one of the moments where he really schooled me and decided to express his absolute disdain from the word vendor partner.
Oh,
and that was the day that I learned that those two words do not go together in Jim Ziegler's mind.
He hates it.
At all. Like it was like fire.
Vendors. We criticize more vendors on this show. We called them on the carpet. Now, it is well known. I don't like cars.com. That's a personal opinion.
No.
I really don't like them. It's based on the fact that I was raised in a decent household. But anyway, I don't like cars.com. I don't like Auto Trader. I really don't like Car Gurus. And I almost liked True Car for a while there, but I think they're sinking down in the tar pits fast. But anyway, we are basically called out all the vendors that we felt weren't good for the dealers. I mean, we've called them out. We've said we don't think this because of this. We always had a sound reason. It wasn't just because of emotion. But vendors are never your partners. They don't pay your bills. They don't share in your losses. Vendors. I'm your partner. No, you're not getting.
We agree to disagree on this topic.
Notice that even just bringing it up, I relit that.
Yeah, you're touching.
I think there is a difference between a vendor and a partner, but touche, right? But you know what I will say? I will say that there are actual actionable things that were brought up on the show about vendors where one or all of us got reach outs from it, joined either boards, had conversations, and have seen changes as a result. I'm not saying that happened in every situation by any means, but I know that in at least two of mine, it did. At least of two of the issues that I had, I was brought into a conversation to help resolve them. One is still in the works, and one actually was resolved. There's still skeletons in those closets, but
we changed the industry.
Well, I think every time somebody has the balls, I can say it because it's the last show, right? To come on and be honest. I mean, look, just being a partner.
Bobbie, we don't say they had the balls. Don't be.
Well, I was going to say the other thing because they can be in the cabinet and that might get me in trouble.
They didn't have the testicular fortitude. You got that?
No, I'm going to let you guys have it today. But
testicular fortitude.
It started good conversations and it did help change an industry. And so did some of the people who launched from here we didn't bring anybody on who didn't have their act together or who didn't have a challenge to accept. So they already had an audience, they already had an item, but then they were able to go out and have a bigger conversation. And I think that was different about our show because we don't agree on everything. Mm-hmm. There's no agenda that's like, okay, we got to be like this. We got to do this. That's not true. We're all doing things all the time that's getting us in trouble with each other.
Only one time did we all agree.
Answer the question on the screen, Bobbie.
Man, I'm going to take a Switzerland approach on this. And here's why. I can think of at least 10 people that we had on the show that I thought had content that related to different subsets of automotive and brought it and did a great job. And so I'd have to pick one from each section. And I don't think that'd be fair to the people who gave their contribution to the show. You know me. I like people to not feel left out. That's not a thing.
Top 5.
Yeah, that's a hard question. Max, take it.
I'll give you two answers here. One is Brian Benstock, only because he's a New Yorker and a successful car dealer. And he doesn't take anything from anybody. The way he shuts down other dealers on this show, it was incredible. Like, it was like boom, 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 like this.
Yeah. Yeah, but
you sent me no text during that show. Like, what is this shit?
In the utopia that you don't.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, he gets away with it, and it's very surprising that other Type A personalities let him get away with it. And another thing I want to say,
he's not so tough.
For me,
I was going to say he's friends with the Type A's on the show.
Right, but he abuses Type A's like without hesitation. So he's like the alpha, And the other best takeaway for me was that I realized, and I don't want to name names, but I realized how useless, and I want to underscore this word, useless, state dealer associations are. Some, not all.
Max.
But my God.
Really? Yeah, because you really attacked the guy from Florida, Ted.
Right, without naming names, Jim named names.
Yeah.
Pineapple. That's what we were trying.
Right, and again, I'm saying this, and I'm not a dealer.
Yeah,
right?
There's great dealer associations like Virginia with Don Hall. Don Hall.
I love Don Hall.
Right. So Mr. Hall is like on the right side of history.
When we went to war against TrueCar back when TrueCar first came, Don Hall was one of the foremost people leading that battle, besides me.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If I was a dealer, I would be really disappointed, and probably devastated by the leadership, because it's not going to end well unless there is a change.
Well,
and I'm going to fire up two people right now with a one simultaneous conversation, similar to the state associations.
Love
And
Look at Jim Ganther on the sideline.
they're not partners, okay?
yeah.
It takes the dealers, and that is one thing that this show, because it's dealer first, also brings to light a lot of the things that dealers don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I always say you either don't know or you don't care. And I think that every dealer I've ever met cares. But the problem is if they don't know and they're not reaching out to have conversations with the dealer associations, there's only so much they can do, right?
Yeah.
You have to, there's a two-way street that has to be. And it's the same with the vendors. I totally agree with not calling them.
How about Bob Okanuski?
Well, I think the key thing to remember here, and I don't think that the person that Max got into the conversation with is necessarily useless, because the legislative process is very complex and there are a lot of things that we don't understand. Well, and I think Jim Ganther's point is perfect.
Ganther just pointed out that Florida, DeSantis, the governor, just signed the most dealer protective legislation in all of the states. I mean,
that's because Max fired him up. He was like, "Go to work, man."
Max fired him up.
If only the legislature worked that fast.
Right.
Oh, we got Ganther defending Ted.
I know.
Look at the camaraderie, though, that comes from that, because what just happened there is exactly what we've been talking about the whole time, which is you don't have to agree with something or someone all of the time to respect them in the moments that matter, that they deserve respect in. We've managed to do that for years, and I really don't think that many people are able to do that.
Look at Jim. Look at the last comment.
Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
All right.
They still carved out Tesla. They made an exception for Tesla.
Of course.
He's still one of my favorite guests because of he's on each time. He brought his A game.
You like Ganther? I love
I do like Ganther. Yeah.
We appreciate you. Every person here appreciates you, Mr.
Yes.
Ganther is the foremost compliance attorney for dealers in the country.
Yeah.
If you want to know about compliance and the new safeguards rule, and
don't get me started, Jim. Do not get me started.
We'll need
April, did you make the phone call this week?
I did make the phone call this week, and we're playing a little bit of phone tag. But yeah, we're gonna start having some of those.
I will tell you, in the new show that I am creating, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit before this broadcast ends. The new show that I'm creating, one of the first shows is going to be me and April and Mike Stanton from NADA and an NADA attorney discussing compliance issues that some of the vendors are skirting around and some of the dealers are ignoring with the new safeguards rule. So it's going to be, she called
and like I always say,
Mike Stanton already. I've already talked to Mike Stanton. That's going to be the first show that I do, and that's coming really quick.
From an educational standpoint, because it's a don't know, don't care situation. And, there's a lot of perceptions on how we're supposed to handle things, what things are supposed to be handled. And, we're dealers, and I'm going to just tell it to everyone straight. Dealers need to be told point blank, do exactly this, 1 + 1 = 2, and we'll do it. But if we are left to the wolves and we have to figure it out on our own, it's very, very difficult. So I will tell you, after being elbows deep in this for the better part of this last year, it is cultivated to a point now where I need to take all of this and help dealers who have not had the opportunity to actually put in all the work to do all this. So
the hard part is, April, your official title is e-commerce director, right? Or digital sales and marketing director. And I laugh about that because so few dealers and even large groups actually have compliance directors. So how crazy is it? And I know, because I was sitting in the exact same seat, whereas the e-commerce director, a lot of that fell on to me. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a red flag book? What do you mean you don't have this? What do you mean you don't have that? And so while there is a checklist, how you apply that to your daily operations, I think that's going to be a great first show.
I think it's fun to say that, like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've sat in your seat for a long time too. Nobody, when we were doing that stuff, nobody came to me and said, Bobbie, will you do this? I saw an opening and went, well, what the hell? We got to figure this out. And I think that process type personality is what ends up happening. So the title is what it was allegedly supposed to be in the meeting, but all of the other responsibilities that are picked up and come with it come because you're passionate and you care.
Yes.
You're so nice.
You don't have a lane. There is no lane. People now ask me my title, and I'm like, I think I'm going to get business cards that just say et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I think you should. Actually, you know what? I'm going to send you some. I'm going to send you some. I'm going to make you some. I'm going to send them to you. That's going to happen.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just go with that.
I actually love that we're letting everybody know about, new shows that are coming out. I would love to hear what everybody's plans are after this, like next 3 months. What has everybody kind of got going on?
Well, what I intend to do with the new show, and I haven't given it a title yet. I don't want to call it the Dawg Pound. I want to.
You can't.
Yeah, I want to give it a new air, and it's going to be pre-recorded.
That's a safe choice.
Or I haven't quite thought through this. It'll be live, but it won't be at any set time during the week. I mean. Yeah, it'll be whenever my guests and I can put it together, and because
so variable calendar.
We'll announce it a lot in the future. There'll be a lot of future announcement about it, so everybody will know when the show's going to air. But we don't get nearly the live audience that we get on the replays. That has been one less time. Bobbie,
I didn't.
So Ganther's going crazy on the sidelines here.
The puppy pit. Oh, I love that. I think it can only be how the is on.
Well, and I'll tell you, so for everyone who's watching this, this was not a predetermined, hey, our first show is going to be this on this FTC stuff.
I love it.
It really was 2 weeks of me banging my head against a wall and then getting so mad and frustrated. And now having the ability to have somebody like Jim that I can call and share that frustration with, and him say, well, let's help people. Let's help people and let's figure this out. Yeah. And that just goes to test of what the show at the core really is, which is dealer first, dealer centric, and really helping people get to the finish line where they need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Actionable information.
Mm-hmm. The FTC is going to do sweeps all across the country. The Federal Trade Commission is coming after the dealers, and you vendors that think you are exempt, you are not exempt. You're telling the dealers you're exempt. You're lying to them. You're lying to yourself, and you're going to get your ass in a lot of legal trouble. You are not exempt. These vendors,
the first time.
Dealers, you are exempt. They are not exempt. Your vendors are not exempt, and they're telling you they are. They're lying to you. They're lying to themselves. Somebody's going to get their ass in a lot of trouble and huge fines. I mean, the FTC is coming with major sweeps. They've said
maybe some of these vendors who work with TCPA laws and do texting, things like that, will get their shit together finally.
Well, except...
And I'll get to hire their people.
Except that, here's the thing, and here's an actionable tip as we're talking about this. A lot of your agreements with those vendors say that you assume all liability and you relieve them of any type of responsibility for that. So while yes, it is 100% correct, those things are out.
I don't want to name any vendors here.
Oh, I don't even have to. Everybody knows exactly who I'm talking about. So
read your agreements. Read your agreements and know where the liability falls, because ultimately the sweep is going to come through and you're the one who's going to feel it at the dealership, because I promise you those folks, legal departments, hit it somewhere in the MSA to say 1, 2, 3, not it.
Yep, 100%. And that's part of the reason that step one of this is that you have to have an agreement in place. It's agreement and assessment, agreement and assessment. And we basically have to live up as a dealer now as if we're a bank. That's the way they're looking at us. I am now a bank, and because of it, I have way more guidelines on me that we have to take care of. And that is going to be an entire show, so I don't want to waste our whole like wrap up show.
No, that's good leading.
Peter.
There's so much that goes into that, and it's so deep and it's so extremely frustrating. And I will tell you, just so that vendors that are watching, I will tell you my number one beef right now that everyone needs to get on board with, because we are required for agreement and assessment. Please tell your reps whom the dealer should be reaching out to get these things. Because I will tell you, the biggest time suck right now for the dealers is just trying to figure out whom does that agreement and assessment even go to.
Yeah.
So if you as a vendor are watching this and you have not decided who that is, figure out who it is, and send out a mass email blast to all of your people that your dealers actually talk to, so that they can proactively let the dealer know whom is the person that is responsible for taking care of that piece. Because that, I will tell you, is been the hardest part of it all, is just finding the right person to even talk to.
That's good
The
advice.
biggest thing about the Dawg Pound is we have always expressed our opinions. And I want to make one thing clear. These are our personal opinions. We might be wrong. And these are our opinions based on the fact that we have IQs higher than snails.
Yeah, how's that whole thing go? I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on a webinar, but so
this whole show is our opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You got another opinion? I mean, we don't profess to be factual.
I mean, hang on, wait a minute.
Doug was like, no. I mean, everything we know comes from our experience and continued
We
learning.
might be wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
And if I like that we have a group of people where if I don't know the answer, I know where to point you to.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know the answer, I know what direction to send you in. And I feel like that has been of huge help. I'm excited for the new show to come out, and I'm excited to watch you on it first, April. I think that's amazing. And I love that it's
I
launching.
need your help on BDC, Bobbie. I need your help on BDC.
I got you covered.
I mean, because
I all of a sudden have lots of Tuesday afternoons available in my schedule. So
dealerships need to really tune up their BDCs, and you are the foremost BDC expert in the known universe.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excuse me, dealers. Pay attention.
I know it's hard to believe, but I am more than just a pretty face. It's
Dealers, hire this woman. Her phone number's on the screen. If you got a BDC, hire this woman. It'll save you so much money, so much grief. Hire Bobbie. And on the other hand, Jennifer, her number is also on the screen.
Always is.
What are they going to hire you to do? Tell me.
More effectively and efficiently run their operations, roll out processes, integrate softwares, put more money to the bottom line of the financial statement,
Yeah, just little things.
Just running a high performance culture, being able to
making it real.
One of the foremost executive management women in the business. And of course, Max, what the hell do you do?
He sells cool t-shirts.
I don't have my number on the screen, right? But we all know that there's only one Max Zanan, right? You can Google Jennifer Briggs, and I promise you, hundreds of thousands of results come up. But if you Google my name, it's not like that.
I did find another Max, but it's not spelled the same way.
You see? Right. So all I do is I put money in dealer's pocket. And when I say that, I don't mean a dealership pocket. I mean a dealer principal pocket. Right? And this is done through reinsurance. It's done through, building generational wealth in F&I. And that's all there is to it. I never use this show, as a promotional tool. I never did, really.
I know, you kill me.
Right. I never did, and Bobbie can confirm it. And she would text me every other show, and she would be like, "Why don't you say this? Why don't you say that?" And really, at the end of the day, I was here for the benefit of the show, right? Not for the benefit of shameless self promotion.
I mean, I feel
You
like there
do have
was
a
one
bomb
time
ass
you plugged
marketing
the book.
campaign though, so let's just say that is not something that you just woke up and you were like, I'm going to be just a good giver today, and
Well, the
all of
thing
a sudden
about
I'm brilliant.
the
Whatever.
thing about Max is that there's Ganthers.
Yeah, and real quick, Peter Smith, you're right. That is Brooke's show. I was just with her this week, and it's a great show. And now I can catch it once in a while because
Yeah, fantastic. What do you remember about the show, April? Give me one of your memories.
One of my others, so I did go back and write some down. One of my favorite shows was actually when we had Jeff Stearns on. He is one of the first of all, brilliant, but hilarious. If you have not watched episode number 84, go back. And that's the other thing. The other aspect that I give you a lot of props for, Jim, is the fact that you built Ziegler On Demand, where all of this content is there. So you can go back and watch, rather than watching some boring show on Netflix this weekend, go binge watch some of the old Dawg Pound shows or some of his training sessions, because it will fill your cup.
It's free.
Really will.
It's free. It's no charge.
It's all there for everybody. And I love that you did that. Because sometimes as dealers, we get really busy. I go through spells where like, I can't do anything for 3 weeks because I'm just so super, super busy. But then on the other end of that, I can go back and rewatch some of those things. So if you don't know that, all of that's out there. Ziegler On Demand, and all the shows are there. So I had an opportunity this weekend to kind of go back and relive some of them. And that was one of my favorites, episode 84 with Jeff Stearns. He is one heck of a character. So super fun.
Who was on that show?
Jeff Stearns.
He's hilarious.
He is
so funny.
A funny guy. Yes, he is.
He will take you back to marketing 101 and knowing your
Jeff has interviewed me on his he does podcasts, and he's interviewed me on his podcast. You know who's not with us this week? I don't know where he is, of course.
Our orange man, who's not the orange man, but
what's happened?
Captain Ghosting.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I haven't heard from him.
I haven't either. I've been trying to reach him. I looked, he's not dead. If so, somebody's been using his Facebook because he's been green lighting it.
No, I mean, well, we gave everybody.
Jason, where are you?
Right?
Jason Harris, what's going on with you?
Right.
I mean,
well,
I
Jason
just realized he wasn't with us.
matching Jim is one of my favorite memories from the show. They're always matching.
Back that up. I didn't hear that, Jennifer.
I said Jason showing up and matching Jim is one of my favorite memories from the show. You guys were like twinning
all the time.
Yeah. Well, you know,
he probably saw you were wearing the red shirt.
I swear, what happened is the day that we kidnapped you, locked you in the basement, and stole the show, you would have been proud of us because we were all on like a half an hour early, right? Me too. Like, we're trying to fix something. We're trying to figure something out. Nothing's loading the way it's supposed to. I text Jason and I'm like, where are you at? No answer. I was like, he knew we were going to jack something up in that show. And so he was like, that's it. I can't be associated with this. I'm out. I'm not going to prison for you guys.
Let's ask the audience. The audience on the sidebar, what is your favorite memory of the Dawg Pound? This is our final broadcast. I'm going to emerge with a new show, a new and different format. What is your audience? Put it on the sidebar. What is Ganther says my favorite was Jim Ganther's appearance. Okay. Besides that,
it was a good one.
Speaking of shameless,
that was a good
one. Yeah. Well, oh God, how many mad Russians? Max, we had the F&I show a couple times, and I don't feel the F&I show was as good as with a guest as it was with just you and me.
Well, listen, F&I is a very specific item, topic that unfortunately a lot of people don't understand, right? It's not just about selling products. It's not just, it's knowing what products to sell, why to sell them, how to train people to sell them, and then what to do with the money. How do you structure it in a way that benefits the dealership and benefits the owner, right? So, and benefits the service department, because at the end of the day, F&I is the glue, right, that keeps sales and service together, right? So you want to be selling retention-based service products that drive people back to your service department, whether it's prepaid maintenance, whether there's a tie back on a VSC, or paint and fabric protection. So again, I think a lot of dealers are missing the boat, and they really need to have a wake-up call about F&I.
Well, that brings me to shameless self-promotion. I've got an F&I seminar coming up in Atlanta in July. I've missed.
I was going to say, yeah, you better fix that link.
I can fix that link.
And this was not pre-scripted, by the way.
No, we don't pre-script
anything.
If people don't know that, there's zero pre-scripting of our conversations. Like, we know the subject title when we come into these shows every week. So this is one of the, I think, things that at least I personally loved before being on the show, was just the candid conversation that you knew was genuine, from the gut, from the heart, from the mind. And that, I think, is super refreshing.
Yeah, sometimes we know the title of the show just a couple days before. So it's like, I think that makes for, like you said, for a better candid conversation. I prefer not to know questions when I'm on a show or I'm on a panel or I'm doing anything. I prefer not to know the questions, but prior to. I want to just live in the moment with everybody. And I think that is huge.
Right. So I always ignored the topic of the show.
You did always ignore the topic of the show.
Yeah, always.
Shocker.
Every time. Max would always take everything segue to, you're not reinsuring and EVs suck.
No, that's not true. There would be other avenues, besides that, I don't want to relieve.
Well, we managed to bring on a Russian without getting canceled, so I'd say we're doing pretty solid.
And you know what? The fact that we're all friends, it's amazing. I go back to some of the people that we've had on the show, we've been on since May 4th of 21. That's 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's a long run on the internet. It's a long run, and I'm thinking back through the guests. I mean,
and our attendance hasn't faded. Like, we're not doing this because all of a sudden nobody's paying attention or we're not getting people who are participating and stuff. That's not the reason behind it. Because I got asked that a lot this week of like, oh, is attendance dropping? Is it that? And I said, I don't think it was really ever even about the attendance for us. It started out as conversations, started out as trying to have an impact on an industry, and then it just became something really cool that we enjoy doing together.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been, because we all started out as friends and we ended up as friends. Even Max. I mean,
Max got lights in the back of his place finally. Like, do you know how long it took us to get that to happen? Crying out loud.
I didn't like him at first.
And Max is not really a Russian, guys. We do just mess with him about that. I've had to defend you on the private side a whole bunch of times.
I think he's a sleeper cell.
Well, he is for dealerships who want to make more money, including their dealer operators, their GMs, over their owners.
I've always talked about the women on this show being some of the most brilliant women in the car business. I know we just had the Women in Automotive Conference last week.
It was amazing.
And I've always talked about the women on this show, and everybody knows that Jennifer and Bobbie and I have a long relationship, and I haven't had that long a relationship with April Simmons. But there was one show where, for whatever reason, it was April and me.
Yep.
It was just the two of us. And I realized what a brilliant operator she is. I mean, there are people that look good on camera, sound good on camera, but they don't know anything. And believe me.
Well, then they don't really sound good.
Say this if it wasn't true. This woman knows how to run a dealership. She knows how to sell a car. She knows how to manage salespeople. She knows how to manage managers. April Simmons is that good. Aren't
She
you,
knows.
Jim?
You're like wait till you hear up because that might
How to
Listen,
manage Max.
if she wasn't, she would immediately get discovered.
Right.
that is true. But yeah, you've got to have a lot of testicular fortitude to come on the show because you will be called out on your fraud if you don't.
And not just once. It's on the internet forever. People.
I coined that word. And that's a great word. Testicular fortitude.
Right. And I've done this many times on the show.
But not to take away, Jim, that honestly is probably the best compliment I've ever received because coming from you, it means a lot. Primarily because you don't sugarcoat things. You say what you mean and you feel. And that just genuinely, from my heart to yours, like I can't thank you enough for bringing me on the show and, giving me this opportunity to, in some cases, just vet my shitty week out. I mean, that's just a lot of what this show for me sometimes is. But it's also sharing in ways to solve all of those pain points that us dealers do face every single day. So, Jim, I genuinely appreciate you and the rest of this crew who have just, become like family to me.
I have written for 4 magazines. I wrote for Auto Age. Then I wrote for Ward's Dealer Business, which bought Auto Age. Then I wrote for F&I Showroom and Auto Dealer Today. And I wrote for Digital Dealer Magazine for 14 years. And now I've started writing for Digital Dealer again. So I've always been able to say things that the dealers couldn't say to the manufacturers and the vendors.
Yeah.
That has been my trademark through the years. It has cost me heavily. I have paid $100,000 in legal fees for things I have said and things I have done.
Well, I think you've also given people the courage to say things because while, yes, they can't speak against the manufacturer for violations of franchise agreements or whatever there might be, I mean, there's nothing to stop them from speaking out against vendors. And I think having someone like you to champion it or to start the conversation has allowed a lot of people's voices to be heard where it wouldn't have been. So I think that's amazing. That's not just about this show. That's you and your whole career. So,
I've paid heavily. I've always said if I was a criminal, I could be so much richer.
I have to say all the time, like when we teach a skiller, when we think about our stuff, to be a superhero, not a villain. Don't use your superpowers to be a villain. It doesn't work that way. Energy doesn't lie, and it doesn't go over well in any of the situations.
What is so funny was, Scott Painter, when we had the big battle with TrueCar, and the Federal Trade Commission came after me because they said I organized a national boycott of TrueCar, which it cost me heavily to get out of that problem.
Yeah.
But Scott Painter, the president of TrueCar, flew to Atlanta and he admitted defeat. He said, "You brought us to our knees. You cost me $48 million." And he said the most complimentary thing that any person has ever said to me. He says, "Jim, we thought about paying you off, but we knew it couldn't be done."
Yeah.
Well,
we thought about buying you off, but we knew it couldn't be done. What a great
changed stuff, though. They were making bad decisions, and it changed stuff because it was shortly after that he brought Carrie on, which I think was a brilliant decision, and brought in the dealer networking side of things to start fresh conversations.
They changed because of the battle we fought. TrueCar changed to be more dealer friendly and consumer friendly. Painter installed a seesaw and made his employees. He said we have to have balance, and he actually had a big seesaw outside. So, and he fired the anti-dealer employees. They had bought 2 websites, and I exposed it.
I remember that day. I kicked them out of my dealership that day.
They spelled the word out. It was effedbythedealers.com and effedbythedealers.net. TrueCar bought both of those websites.
Yeah. I'll never forget that, though.
I fired the people that bought them and apologized profusely to the dealers.
Yeah. Well, I was the director of operations for a giant group at the time. when a lot of people don't know that as part of my background, and that's what I was doing at the time. And I remember kicking him out of the store that day. We will get lost on this, and we are going to run
Both TrueCar and Edmunds paid TV advertising dollars to talk smack on us as a business, and both of them can.
Look what happened.
Yeah, they talked smack on the dealers. Painter announced the dealers were dead, and he was going to be evidently the executioner. But we showed him, and you know, I was accused, and I probably had something to do with organizing the dealers.
Allegedly. Allegedly. We don't know anything about that.
Allegedly.
So if we just have a couple of minutes left, what does everybody else have going on? I know I just left Women in Automotive, and I'm getting ready to be at the Search Lab conference in August with Greg Gifford, the Ignition Automotive Conference. And my next webinar is on July 26th with Eliana Oh my God, I can't even talk today. I'm so tired from Women in Automotive. I don't even have a voice. My next webinar is on July 26th, I think, with Eliana. But what has everybody else got coming up this month?
Well, I'm going to tell you straight. I am elbows deep in being a car dealer this month. I have 3 new websites we're launching. We are redoing our entire call tracking system through all 15 of our stores.
Your punishment, girl. You're doing both of those at the same time.
And then, you know, this FTC stuff as sprinkles, you know, because we've got that. And so I will say that my next, you know, everyone who reaches out to me, you know, the 300 vendor emails I get that they have the latest and greatest product. If you send me an email and I ghost you in the next like 30 days, that's why. I'm busy. Too many irons in the fire.
What are you up to?
Totally fair.
In July, we're doing a lot of education after the fact on the GA4 transition because so many dealers are still not prepared. So I'm actually going to be doing some in-person trainings with some different partners that we've got in the market, and probably going to be putting out some like short little segments of videos that you guys can grab and use and watch and fix alongside. So in July, that's what I got going on.
Hey, Jennifer, real quick too, while you're doing that, just a reminder that people need to find a way to get the information out of Google's UA that they want to keep. So if there's information you want to get, you're going to have to start getting that done here relatively.
Yeah. You're running out of time.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm on a virtual book tour. You know, I just published my 5th book, Definitive Guide to F&I. Thank you. And, you know, I did an interview.
Forward.
Yes, Jim was kind enough to write the forward, and I did an interview and a podcast with Automotive News. I'm doing another one with Agent Entrepreneur. You know, I have a few podcasts scheduled, and I just hope, listen, people read the book and realize how much money there is to be made and how much money they're currently leaving on the table.
Max, how can people find you now that they won't see you every week?
So just Google my name. That's all you got to do.
I like it. Also, for the whole show, I've had Max's name and phone number underneath my picture. So all you need to do is hit rewind if you need his picture.
Oh, Bobbie, I love it.
Still there if we turn it back on.
Wait a minute. Oh, call Max. I love that.
Look at that.
Well, I'll tell you what. This isn't a farewell to the people on the show because I personally am going to have all of these people on my show. But like I say, you know, it's going to be me and one co-host and different co-hosts. So I talked to Eliana Raggio today about being a co-host, you know, so I'm looking at different people in the industry. Now that she's not with her former company, I can talk to her again. You know, I'm opinionated. You know,
no way.
Not at all.
You know what? I am approaching my 49th year in the car business.
Man,
49 years.
Master of reinvention.
In a year, it'll be 50.
We're going to have like a giant party. Well, finally, we're going to have to come to Atlanta. We've been coming for a while and then had to cancel a couple times with everything with COVID, but maybe we need to come throw a giant party there. I'll call Miss Debbie. I don't even know why I'm talking to you about it.
Miss Debbie and I are going to be doing some things here this afternoon. I'm going to be grilling shrimp and big shrimp, 11 count shrimp, big ones. I'm going to be grilling 11-point shrimp, spice Old Bay, whole thing. And I'm going to be on the grill, and I'm going to be portobello mushrooms.
Only thing I ever asked you for in life was to move to Michigan and live next door, and they're about to list this house. So I'm just
is there an Alpha Dog and Miss Debbie cooking show in the future?
Debbie and I did that for a while on Facebook. We did Chef Alpha Dog and Miss Debbie cooking, and we would cook a dish and challenge everybody, publish a recipe, and we would challenge everybody to cook a similar dish and put a picture of it.
That'd be fun to do again.
We were doing that for a long time, and it was popular. We would have 6 or 7 people publishing their recipes, and I was cooking. Debbie was assisting, which she instructs me. She's the cook. But anyway, we need to wave goodbye to the people.
Let's get the. Oh yeah, there you go, April.
Is that the